prospect just because he had experience in big situations. He had played in Memorial Cup and World Junior Championships, so they wanted him in there in that pressure-filled situation because it does make a big difference when the games have such higher stakes.
Yeah, we see it, with the San Jose Sharks for years, always have a great team, and then they just blow it in the playoffs. Can't handle the big pressure.
And even if
right,
you want to relate
maybe
it to...
they need to...
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, even if they want to relate it to football, I mean, no matter how good the team is around Tony Romo, as soon as you hit those playoffs, Romo takes a shit on the field.
Or you have a chance to clinch a playoff spot. He blows it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you need one of them clutch guys with ice water running through his veins. So, also out in Los Angeles Sunday night, a little bit of bad news. Marion Gabrick was sidelined. He didn't play. He has an undisclosed injury. Nobody's saying what it is. In media availability, they asked Coach Darryl Sutter what was going on with Gabrick. He wouldn't elaborate.
Herniated testicle.
And hockey guys are like that. They're always really vague with injuries and don't like disclosing anything. You'll always hear upper body injury or lower body injury, and that's all they'll give you. You know, they won't really tell you any specifics because they don't want guys getting targeted out on the ice. But they asked Darryl Sutter, is it upper body or lower body? And Sutter joked and he said it's a body injury. So they don't know no facts to what it is right now. It doesn't seem like it's going to be serious. I heard that he was skating today, but not any contact drills. So hopefully he'll be cleared to play for the start of the season. But it's just a little scary with Gabrick because he's got an injury history, and you hope it's nothing that's going to linger throughout the season.
That's true, and the way that him and Kopitar coalesce on the ice it's very important to the Kings to have them both out there.
Right, yeah, the way he excelled in the playoffs last year, too, it gives that city a lot of hope. I know they've had a really good team here the last few years and got a couple championships, but, man, the way they looked last year, you'd think they'd be unstoppable and have a good chance to repeat this year.
Yeah, having Gabrick full season, them getting that much more comfortable during the regular season going into the playoffs, it could be. And now quick recovering fully from an injury that he played well through the playoffs with, it could be unstoppable for the Kings.
Yeah, definitely crucial to them to get him back healthy. There's a few other key injuries. Minnesota, their goalie Josh Harding, this is kind of a goofy one. He allegedly got in an off-ice altercation with a teammate and got a little angry and kicked a wall, broke his foot, and it looks like he's going to be out for about 3 months now. So that is a huge blow to Minnesota, losing their starting netminder.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah. And also New York Rangers, kind of a big blow. Their number one center, Derek Stepan, looked like he had a broken leg. It was reported he had a broken fibia, and he could miss the entire year. Well, now it's come out that it is a non-displaced fibia fracture, so it's only going to be about a month to a month and a half, which is great news for New York. Hopefully they can get off to a decent start and hang around 500 until Stepan gets back and step on the gas and make a push for the playoffs there in the second half of the season.
Yeah, they had a great playoff last year. They made strides. They got to the finals, and let's hope they can keep it going so the Kings can beat them again in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Right. They made a really surprising run in the playoffs. A lot of teams didn't see them making it to the Stanley Cup Finals. And another team that made a really surprising run in the playoffs last year was my Columbus Blue Jackets. And they're kind of the hot topic right now in NHL talk because their star center, young Ryan Johansson, 22-year-old kid, budding star. He had a 63-point season last year with 33 goals, led the team. And he is currently held out of training camp. He is not currently signed. He's not under contract, and it has gotten really ugly, these contract talks in the last couple of weeks, and it's been a lot of fun debate. There's a lot of people on either side. Some people are on Johansson's side. Others tend to side with the team in this whole debacle. But the way it's sitting right now, originally, he's a restricted free agent, so Johansson's coming off of his entry-level contract. So the way the NHL CBA is written, it really gives the teams a lot of the leverage. Players really aren't meant to be making huge dollars on their second contract. It's more for their third contract and beyond is where they really start making the dough. So Johansson obviously is a very talented player, crucial to Columbus's success, and his agent Kurt Overhart is known for the type of guy that's a trendsetter, likes to push the market, push value for his other clients. And they came out with a really, really high offer. They were asking for like $7 million a year initially. They finally agreed on the term to 2 years, but they were still about $3.5 million apart for a long, long time. Well, about 2 weeks ago, training camp started, or a week ago, training camp started, and no Ryan Johansson. Blue Jackets front office got really frustrated, came out and publicly said some pretty inflammatory remarks about Johansson's agent, saying it was extortion and that what they're doing is just completely unheard of. It's erroneous, and they're only hurting the player, hurting the team. Since then, Overhart's responded and said that he doesn't discuss numbers, kind of trying to take the classy road and say that Columbus, trying to throw Columbus's front office under the bus a little bit. But it has made a little bit of progress this past week. It's been reported from Aaron Portzline of the Columbus Dispatch that Overhart and Johansson offered the Blue Jackets another contract that is around $4.7 million a year. So they've come down off their number of about over $2 million. Unfortunately, the Blue Jackets offer still stands firm at 2 years for $6 million, so it'd be $3 million per. So they're still almost $2 million apart.
Now,
so
as
it's a really
the Columbus BJ insider, where do you stand? Do you think he deserves the money, or do you think he should wait for that third contract?
Well, it's a really tricky situation, Mike, because you have the CBA in place to kind of help deal with things like this, but on the same side of it, you've never really had a situation such as this. I mean, it's all about comparable contracts. They try to compare it, to similar deals, guys that are coming out, similar production, same age. But there's really nobody like Johansson. I mean, he is a true number one center, and there's only about a dozen of them in the league. So he's a really special player, and he definitely deserves to be paid. But at the same time, he's had one season of production. He's shown at times that he can be unmotivated and needs a boot in his rear to get him going. And the team feels like they've done a lot to get him to this point where he's at now. And is part of the reason why they didn't want to go long term with him in the first place was because they didn't trust him and they didn't trust his work ethic. And the team was really miffed when Johansson decided not to stay in Columbus in the off season and work out with a lot of other guys. He decided to go back home to Vancouver and work out independently. Well, that didn't sit well with the Blue Jackets front office. Well, here 2 weeks ago, Johansson arrived back in Columbus, and it looked like he was wearing a youth small T-shirt. He was busting out of it. And they said, okay, you obviously, you're obviously in this to win. We're
sorry.
willing to go a little more long term with you.
Well,
yeah.
Well, also,
so,
why don't they just do an incentive-based contract? I don't know if hockey allows for those type of contracts, but a guy that obviously maybe he played well because he was in a contract year, or he's nearing a contract year, so he played better. He's more motivated that way. Why don't they give him incentive to be motivated?
Well, the CBA, I don't know if it allows for incentive-based contracts. You really don't hear those a lot in the NHL.
Yeah.
It's a really long legal document. I haven't read the whole thing, so I couldn't tell you if there's something in there that prevents it. And I'm not sure, Mike. I don't really have a good answer for that. I don't know why they don't do that, but I would lean towards that. I don't know. I would think that there's something in the CB that kind of prevents it because you really don't hear teams ever doing that.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because I'm like, it seems like maybe it's not like football and baseball and basketball where you play a certain amount of games well and you get this bonus for it. I've never heard it. Hockey, it's a lot of long-term contracts with good money long-term, almost like you're part of the team forever type of contracts. But
right,
that's why it makes me feel like, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and hockey's kind of a fluky sport, too. I mean, you can win games. You can be the worst team in the league and beat the best team in the league 2-1, on some fluky goals. So it's kind of hard to compare to other sports, and it's more of a sport where, yes, obviously the skilled players, rule the game, but you can be a really good player in the league if you're just a really hard worker and you're physical on the forecheck and you go out and skate hard every shift. you can make a really nice living in the NHL without having a whole lot of skill with the puck. So it's hard to do incentive-based contracts in that aspect. That definitely would be a great solution to the deal if it were possible. And again, I'm not sure if it is or not. But where I sit on the whole deal, it's kind of, I feel, I think Columbus's offer is probably a little low at $3 million a year, but at the same time, they have all the rights, they have the leverage. They own Johansson's rights for the next 4 years. So basically, he's a restricted free agent. He can either sign the deal or he cannot play. Now, the deadline is December 1st. If he does not sign by then, he cannot play hockey this year. So I definitely think a deal will be done before December 1st. For the sake of Blue Jacket fan, I think he needs to get in there post-haste. He should have a deal signed yesterday. He needs to get in there and be working with the team before the season starts, try to build some of that line chemistry, because historically, guys that have had holdouts have had decreases in production the following year. So it's a really tricky situation. I understand it from both sides. Johansson and Overhart are trying to push the market. The Blue Jackets are going to have a lot of good, young, talented guys, restricted free agents, with their contracts coming up in the next year, 2 years, and 3 years. And if they agree to overpay, and Johansson is a special player that they would want on their team and be willing to overpay for, but if they do that, it's going to have, it's going to ripple. It's going to have repercussions, kind of like a butterfly effect on the following and future contracts that they're going to have to dish out.
And quite frankly, for your health and safety, I hope he resigns and the Blue Jackets have a good year, because if I'm not mistaken, last year when they were eliminated from the playoffs, it was you who said, "I want to swallow bleach."
Yeah, I get a little bit worked up when we are blowing 2-goal leads in the playoffs. But yeah, I think the Blue Jackets have a really solid team. I think they have a good chance to make the playoffs even without Johansson. But there's no question that he is the centerpiece of that franchise, and he is a very significant part moving forward. And they need to get him signed. He needs to be happy. He needs to stay in Columbus because he's an offensive weapon. He's an elite player, and he's a true number one center. And all the great hockey minds will tell you, if you want to win in hockey, you need great goaltending and you need great talent at the center position.
So sign his ass, bitches. I don't know what I'm saying. Phil, thank you so much for hanging out and laying some hockey news on us. It's been a while since we talked hockey.
Yeah, it's nice to be back on. I'm excited for the season to start, get back in my groove here, watching some hockey, and yeah, I'm excited for the season to start.
Yes.
Yeah, when you wake up tomorrow, you're going to have a tits trophy as you got the most points this week in our fantasy football league.
That's right.
Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Finally.
Yeah, finally. From no wins to most points in a week. Congratulations, sir.
I am desperate in that league, man. I need guys to start scoring, finally.
Finally, it happened tonight. Once again, gruntpunch.com and alongtheboards.com. Phil, thanks for hanging out with us tonight.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. You have a good night.
Thanks,
care,
you
man.
too.
Bye.
Later. Nice of him to hang out, even though he has to go to bed 2 hours ago.
Yeah, he sounded sick, too, poor guy. Sounded like he was sniffling in there.
That's one of those asshole things to say.
I'm not sure if he just woke up or if he was starting to get sick, but I feel bad either way.
Nothing makes me feel better about myself than when somebody goes, "Hey, man, you look sick."
Well,
or thanks. So you're telling me I look like shit.
He powered through.
Like a champ.
I just heard a couple sniffles, so I'm sure he wasn't crying.
Yeah, no thanks to you.
But maybe not. Maybe he wants them to sign that guy and he's crying over it. But I think he just sounds like either he's getting sick or got the allergies going on.
Something. But it's that time you've all been waiting for.
No, elongate those balls, please.
No, Mike's not taking his pants off.
Oh.
No one's waiting for that anyways. A little trivia time, you guys. So, like I said, we have a autographed picture of Trevor Lewis. I'm holding it in my hand. Mike can see that.
Two-time world champ, Trevor Lewis.
Champs here. Los Angeles Kings. Thanks to Eva for donating this.
Thank you, Ayatollah.
All you got to do is answer this question. You can get it to us via email, thecharitystrike@gmail.com. You can call us, 805-419-3679, and leave a little voicemail. I think those are the better options. You could tweet it to us, but if somebody else sees it, I guess you know what? First one to get it to us wins.
Yeah,
so yeah, you
first.
can tweet us and Facebook us and all that good stuff. So get it to us. The question is, who won the Conn Smythe Trophy when the Kings won the Stanley Cup last season? That's a 2014 season. Very easy question.
So who was the MVP? last season.
And he's not a wrestler at the MVP.
No.
He's horrible.
No.
And that, like I said, we'll get you an autographed Trevor Lewis picture. And after we get this piece of trivia